Hey there everybody, it's Ryan Liberty, and right now I'm going to talk about why some people never get better. I don't want to! Alright, so we're going to talk about why some people never get better, of course, because my channel's about mental health. We're going to be talking about mental disorders basically here, and I spent some time thinking about this, and I came up with a larger list than I actually expected, but I'm going to look at my notes down here and tell you what I think about why some people just never seem to get better. So again, we're talking about mental disorders specifically, but the first thing I would say is that a lot of people don't even know that there's a problem. If there's a personality disorder involved in particular, part of having a personality disorder is not realizing that your personality is different from than other people. And maybe somebody who has a substance abuse problem, they may not see it as a problem. It's just, that's one of the first barriers to getting towards treatment, is realizing that there's even a problem. So there's that. There's not caring once we do know that there's a problem, which could be something that's part of the disorder. Some, again, personality disorders, that part of being who they are, part of their personality is that they just don't care. They really don't care that it affects other people, how they behave or what's going on, or they may not see how it affects themselves, and they just don't care. So that's another obstacle, is getting somebody to actually care once they know that they have a disorder about moving towards treatment. Another obstacle is if you have a disorder like obsessive compulsive personality disorder, that's egocentric. That will be hard to get somebody to move towards treatment. So egocentric just means that whatever is disordered about you, or whatever is not jiving right, you believe that's actually a good thing about yourself. You see that as a positive thing. That's what egocentric means. So somebody may have a disorder, but they may actually see it as a good thing. So it will be hard to get somebody who views it as a good thing into treatment. So you'd have to get them to see why it's not such a good thing that they have these behaviors and thoughts and things. So another obstacle to getting somebody to get better is that they may have no motivation. And again, that could be just a part of their disorder. If somebody has major depressive disorder or dysthymia, persistent depressive disorder, that's going to be hard to get them motivated to do the things that they need to change. It's just part of the disorder. So it's another obstacle that people have to overcome. Another obstacle is not having the access to proper treatment. So not having the money to get into the treatment facility or to see the people we need to see that can help treat us. Maybe not having the time just because we're overwhelmed trying to get the money to get towards treatment. People have lives, they have children, they have jobs, and there just may not be time. And also there could be a lack of skilled professionals in the particular area that they're living in. It could be that they just don't have transportation. So there's a lot of reasons why somebody might have a hard time getting to proper treatment in the first place. Another reason why people don't seem to get better is they could be treated for the incorrect thing. They could be misdiagnosed, and we may be trying to treat a generalized anxiety that's really a social anxiety, for example. A lot of disorders get mixed up because they're comorbid, which means that they're occurring at the same time. And if you're not treating them carefully in a comprehensive way, then you may wind up not treating at all. You may wind up not doing a good job of helping the person to get better. So that would be another obstacle, is when they're not properly diagnosed and you're not being treated for the correct thing. Another obstacle is being on the wrong medication or not being on medication at all when you should be on medication. A lot of disorders, medication is a key towards getting treatment. In the case of bipolar disorder in particular, we know that medication helps us stabilize things out, also schizophrenia. So medication is very important, but medication is different for every person, and that's why it's important to work with a psychiatrist to get you on the right combination of medication. But it can be really difficult during those periods where you're switching medications, or you're on the wrong medication, you're not really understanding what's going on, why it's not working. So it's just another obstacle that prevents people from getting better. Another one is the pain of being treated, often going through healing some things like disorders. Let's take post-traumatic stress disorder, for example. It's really painful to go into the trauma, which is kind of necessary to heal from trauma, is to actually experience it in a safe environment, and that's really painful to do, and a lot of people, they avoid it. Unfortunately, if you continue to avoid it forever, you're never going to get better, and sometimes it actually makes things worse. So having to go through that pain is another obstacle as to why people don't get better. So another obstacle is defense mechanisms, and I'm just going to give you two common ones here. There's splitting, which is seeing things in black and white. So you may just feel like this is always how it's always going to be. It's how it's always been, like that distorted thinking kind of thing. So you've got defense mechanisms like that. You've got defense mechanisms like projection or projective identification, where you look and see the turbulence inside of yourself is actually coming from outside of you. So a classic example would be like, it's all your fault that I act this way. It's because of you that I do this. So that would be another reason why it would be hard to identify that we're the problem in the first place. And those defense mechanisms are there for a purpose. They're to help us survive whatever the immediate pain is that we're experiencing, but they also, unfortunately, are an obstacle towards healing. There's also secondary gain is another reason why people won't look like they're healing or they have trouble getting better. And secondary gain is when your illness or your disorder has a benefit. So let's say you are an alcoholic or you have a substance abuse problem. Then you may have people who try to like coddle you and you may get a lot of attention for your disorder. Let me put it that way. And if you get a lot of attention, that may feel good. And you may start to feel like, well, if I heal from this disorder, then I'm not going to get all this attention. And that may be one reason why you would not go towards treatment. So secondary gain, the benefits of having a disorder, may make it hard to heal from having a disorder. There's also enablers, kind of related to secondary gain. If you have people in your friendships, in your family, maybe your lover, if those people do things that help your disorder continue on, that encourage your disorder to keep going, that would be an instance where it would be hard to heal. You know, I'm thinking in my head, if you maybe have a dependent personality disorder and the people around you take care of you and do everything for you, they're enabling that disorder. They're enabling you to be dependent on whoever it is that you are primarily dependent on. So enablers make it difficult. There's also our environment can make it difficult to get better. So if you are in a city maybe that's got high crime, that may make it harder to heal from generalized anxiety disorder because you see reasons around you to be fearful. If you are in an abusive family situation, that can make it hard to heal from post-traumatic stress disorder because you may still be experiencing a lot of things that bring back flashbacks, and you may have a hard time with boundaries around those people. So your environment can make it hard to heal. Also, societal norms. So if you, for example, you know, we're living in an age today when everybody communicates electronically. We don't do face-to-face as much as we used to. You know, come 30 years ago, we used to be outside talking to our neighbors, playing with friends, going to social gatherings and things like that. And it's not to say that we don't still do that, but the norms of our society here in the USA anyway have changed, and it because of that, it might make somebody who has social anxiety disorder, it might make it easier to have social anxiety disorder because you don't have reasons to get among people and to kind of face some of the challenges you may have to in a different society. Or, for example, we have a lot of times we eat meals around the holiday. Whatever the holiday is, a lot of times people like to get together and have like a big feast or whatever people like to do. And that could make it hard for somebody with an eating disorder who's really been doing well and managing their symptoms, and then they have this big event coming up that centers around food. That can be really frustrating, and it could kind of send somebody backwards. So societal norms can play a factor in why we have trouble getting better. And finally, the big one is stigma. And I wrote down some examples of stigma, but stigma makes it really difficult for people to get the treatment they need and to get better. So some examples I put down here: some people, if they feel like they are saying, yes, I have a problem, then they're admitting that there's something wrong with them, that they're bad people, that they're evil people, things like that. That would prevent somebody from getting better. The stigma of expressing emotions or crying makes you a weak person. That could prevent somebody from going in and talking to a therapist. The stigma that people should be able to work it out on their own, you're just not trying hard enough. That is another thing that would harm somebody, make them feel bad, and then also prevent them from going to treatment because they feel like they should be able to do it on their own. Maybe the stigma that what you're going through is not really serious enough. There's other people with way worse problems than you have, things like that. And then stigma that maybe the only people who really need treatment are the people who are out in the news, on the media, shooting people or doing crazy things. You see them on World Star Hip Hop doing outrageous things. Those are the crazy people. You're fine. And that kind of stigma really harms people and makes it hard to get into treatment and get the help that they need. So those are the things I come up with. There's probably more out there, so I'd love to hear if you have any things that you think I've missed here. What has made it hard for maybe you or somebody that you know to get into treatment, and how do you think we can solve some of these problems? Because there's a lot of them that I came up with, and I have some ideas, but I'd like to see what you have to say. How do we get somebody who's having a trouble with all of these things I've listed to see the importance of getting help for themselves? What was it that made you get help? I appreciate your input, and I appreciate you taking the time to consider this with me. Thank you, and I'll see you around, everyone. Take care. Do you give a about mental health? If you do, then I've got some free coloring pages I think you'll enjoy. Go ahead and click to get those. If you like this video, I have many more on YouTube. Subscribe to see the rest of them. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below for the rest of the community and share with a friend. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.